Hello, fabulous fifth graders. Welcome to day 5 of our Estimysteries. I really have been enjoying these, and I hope that you have been too. Don't forget to leave me a comment on our assignment to let me know what you think. If you'd like to continue doing more Estimysteries maybe next week or in the future, or if you'd like me to move on to something else. Today, this is our task. What is the total number of beads? So as you can see, there are 2 bottles, and there's different amounts of beads in both bottles. But today we're going to be estimating how many beads are there in all. Again, we'll work through some clues, and we're going to use that information to narrow the possibilities down to a smaller set. After each clue, use estimation again to determine which of the remaining answers is the most reasonable. So at this time, go ahead and write down your initial estimate. Make sure you got that down before we start talking about our clues, and we'll get to the business of narrowing down our possible choices. After each clue, we're just going to think about, is my estimate still a possibility? And after each clue, if it's no longer possible, write down your new estimate and be prepared to explain why you chose it. Clue number 1, the total is between 35 and 85. Remember that you are looking for the total. So altogether, the number of beads is going to be between 35 and 85. So that means my number is going to be 36 through 84. How's your initial estimate doing? Did you think there were less than 36 or maybe more than 84 beads in these 2 bottles? Do you need to make a revision? If you do, be sure to write it down before we talk about clue number 2. Ooh, this is interesting. The number of beads of each color is the same. That means the answer is a multiple of 3. So, whatever there is of the green and the yellow and the blue, these amounts are the same. So our total has to be a multiple of 3. So again, we're working with the 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, and on and on and on, all the way up to 84. Is your estimate a multiple of 3? Do you need to make a revision before we move on to clue number 3? If you do, please do so now. Clue number 3 points us to the die over here. The die shows the numbers 2, 4, and 6. And clue number 3 tells us that 2, 4, and 6 are not in the total. That eliminates quite a few of our remaining possibilities. Any multiple of 3 that is between 35 and 85 that has a 2, a 4, or a 6 in it cannot possibly be our total. Take some time to really think about what these 3 clues mean together. and think to yourself, do you need to make a new estimate? If you do, make sure you write it down before we get to clue number 4. Clue number 4 tells us that the digit 7 is not in the answer. So we know that whatever our answer is, it's going to be between 35 and 85. It's going to be a multiple of 3, and it will not have 2, 4, 6, or 7 as one of its digits. That kind of eliminates a lot. Do you need to revise your answer? After seeing the clues, you've narrowed the possibilities down to a pretty small set of numbers. Before we reveal the answer, select your final estimate, write it down, and explain to someone why you chose that number. Cliffhanger. Today, I will be revealing the answer to our beads in the bottles Estimystery by the end of the day, probably at between 3 and 4 p.m. today. So hopefully you get your math submitted before then, but if not, that's okay. I want to make sure you guys get the answer before we all go to the weekend. I hope you've enjoyed our Estimysteries this week. I certainly have. Be sure to leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Thanks, 5th grade.